サタンしろ
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 212 of the Saturn Studs podcast. I'm Kurt, joined once again on this beautiful summer's day by my co-hosts Peter and Jake.
This week we're coming at you Memorial Day weekend with the Neil Bree edition. That's right, the star of Fateful Fromage. Spread him all over your toast.
That's one of your
all
better
over your
ones.
Tuna. Thank you.
That was actually pretty
Why
good.
tuna? What?
I feel
'Cause
like
he
you
ate
put
tuna.
some thought into that.
Oh,
Double
yeah.
Down.
Jeez, the things
no.
I blocked from my memory about that shit.
Not only did he eat tuna and double down, he nearly
And
crashed
really
his
killed himself.
car.
I don't think that was like a joke. I think he was literally
No, that
driving.
actually
and they
happened.
were like, "God damn, Neil, stop!" Like, you craft services will feed you your tuna afterwards. You don't need to eat it while you're making the movie. Jeez, dude.
But he is craft services, so you had to.
NB. Remember that shit? Anything with the initials NB was provided by Neil Breen himself.
I love how he
Yeah,
did that
like-
and then he explained it to us at the end.
Yeah.
Remember in Pass Through when he was the
Humble brag.
cyborg who took his name from a like a tube of yogurt?
I don't remember him pass through because I've never watched pass through.
Oh, that's
because
right,
I
you
have a
didn't see it.
soul.
I didn't. Nope. I checked out for that one. And of course, as always, we're coming at you live from somewhere between Nevada and Mars. Where exactly? Well, you'll have to wait to find out.
But was
It's
it
a
Mars
place
though?
called the Blind Eternities. Yes,
Yeah, it was Mars.
Okay.
If it
so
wasn't
we
Mars,
watched-
I think that would be like the biggest Doom, like annoyance.
I feel like they never said Mars though.
They
In
did say
Doom
Mars.
2005 with Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
And
Carl
Karl Urban.
Urban.
Yeah. I didn't realize Karl Urban was in here, and I was like, oh shit.
Neither did
This
I.
is a good
Neither
movie.
did I realize that
Yeah.
that he's the main character.
Yeah, he's also Doom Guy. Surprise! Spoiler alert. He's Doom Guy.
So there's a lot of interesting trivia that I learned about this movie for my research because I prepared for the show. And it builds on some threads that we've had woven in our mythos here for a while. So I'm excited
so
to share
happy.
what I've learned. So yeah, we watched Doom 2005. I thought it was 2004. My confusion was that Doom 3, the video game, came out in 2004.
So they had 3 main video games, as well as many spin-offs and other things since 1990 as a base for this movie. And they said, okay, let's take that and then let's put that in the fucking garbage. Because we're just going to do our own thing, dude. We got
In
Karl Urban
fairness-
and The Rock.
In fairness, they did lift quite a bit as far as I remember. It's been, 16 years. But as far as I remember, they lifted, a decent, like a non-zero percentage from the story of Doom 3. Doom 1 and 2, not really like story-based games.
No.
You shoot demons. Doom 3 emphasized the story, and then, we had the 2016 reboot of Doom 3. And then on to Doom Annihilation, which is basically a reboot of Doom 2. So I don't know if they're going to reboot Doom 3 and then continue the cycle, because Doom 3 is a prequel. 'Cause
Who knows? It's a mystery.
Okay,
But this game was so good that they wanted a movie to go with it.
yeah. So apparently, and this is one of the trivia, I'll just dangle this carrot. Apparently this movie was, they tried to make a Doom movie for a long time. And there was a version getting ready to start production in 1999 that was to star Arnold Schwarzenegger as Doom Guy, but like a real life incident where kids cut themselves up with a chainsaw and of course blamed Doom or the parents blamed Doom or whatever because that's how parents react to these things.
Chainsaws blame Doom.
That got canned.
Really?
And it was later kicked down the road, and there's some interesting could have been situations with that we will detail at the appropriate time. But first, we have to not go into Trae Watch quite yet. We have to tell you about yet another podcast that's coming to us for a little. They want the Saturn Studs bump. Everyone wants a piece of us.
I'm sure a lot of people would like a pizza as well.
Yeah, I mean that seems like an anytime sort of food. So this podcast is called Those Guys and Me podcast. It's a leisure podcast. Your hosts Joe and Aaron talk about day-to-day life, tell stories, and share experiences every week, along with different guests each week. So check out Those Guys and Me podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Red Circle. It's pretty much us, available everywhere that you can get your podcasts. I haven't had a chance to listen to their show yet, but the guys are pretty chill from my interactions with them. So I'm sure if they bring that energy to the podcast, it's nice.
I always find those podcasts be really fun and interesting to just kind of get other people's perspective. Helps clear up insecurities about my life. If they ever talk about weird shit that they do during the day, and then I'm like, oh, hey, I do that. And then I'm like, okay, all right.
You and I
Talking about large water bottles.
Hey, you leave my large water bottle out of this.
I heard that.
Folks, that definitely.
I'm looking at the audio file right now. I think I broke my desk.
So
It's a small silo.
So guys, I was walking through. I'll tell my story. Sure, why not? I was walking through Home Depot. During this pandemic, I needed to do some home things like build a garden and prepare for the apocalypse for when vegetables become a shortage. So I need to get some basil plants.
I'll live off of basil.
and we're walking. You know how they have those little stands around randomly, and
The ones for suckers that make you impulse buy things.
Yeah.
Make stupid people buy stuff.
make stupid people buy things. And there was maybe about 10 of these giant gallon thermally insulated water bottles that look chunky. And if you look at the design of this thing, it's got feet right here so you can lay it sideways as well, and a handle so you can carry it like a briefcase.
Does it have can you tap it like a fucking water cooler?
I wish. That'd be really smart though.
Jake having a gallon-sized water bottle is ridiculous on its own. However, to contextualize this properly, I got a lot of shit because I have in my right hand right now a 64-ounce, aka a half-gallon sized water bottle that is convenient because it doubles as a means to hydrate and murder.
Yeah. I could kill so many people with this. It's a battering ram.
Jake's
Jake's
looks like a small artillery shell.
Yes, like Jake, my water bottle. Well, unsurprisingly, Jake's water bottle looks like if you cut like the very top part of my water bottle up, and then put another one on top, and fused it with a strap. That's what his looks like.
I do gotta say, it is cool. It is cooler. And I filled that up yesterday. I took it out of the fridge yesterday morning. So it is. It is cool. It works. It's supposed to keep it cool for 120 hours. But I am going to set a goal for myself because I'm a healthy boy, drink a gallon a day. And I only need to fill that up once. Kurt, on the other hand, has to fill that up twice. So
a whole twice.
So
oh no.
You have to go to the fridge, open the door, take out your Brita, and then be like, well, my Brita's out, so you have to wait for it to fill. And that's all time wasted,
Joke's on you. I have an on-tap water filter.
Well, that's fine. You can do that. But you still got to wait for it to fill up.
Jake, I have two questions.
Yes.
First one, about how much did that cost? Just
Actually, surprisingly, pretty decent. $23.
Nice.
Oh,
Because,
that's not
like,
bad.
I think of Yeti coolers, and those are, like, where they make you pay $60 for a lunch pail.
$30 was
like-
my cutoff. If it was, like, any more than, like, $30, I would have been like, no.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'll buy a gallon jug for $2.
Second question. Since you're drinking this all in one day,
Trying.
So when you get to that last swig, about how much of that do you think is your own backwash?
98%.
Oh, well,
in my experience.
The way that I'm drinking it, I'm just letting it pour into my mouth. You know,
Do you hold your thumb while you do it so you stop your gag reflex?
no, I don't have a gag reflex. We've been over this.
The pornography beat that out of him early on.
And he beat that out of the pornography early on.
I get emails almost daily from Pornhub asking me to come back and reprise my role as
Deep Throat?
Thomas the Tank Engine. I was in
What?
for sure.
That made me picture a lot of things I really wish I
For
had.
a short spell, I did a Thomas the Tank Engine snuff film.
Or like a porn parody series.
Yeah,
Like,
mini series. I mean, we really tried. We didn't want to put too much like effort into the writing, so there wasn't too much of a plot. So it only went for about 4 or 5 episodes. Pornhub ran it for a while. It got a lot of traction until it broke some of the new copyright laws, and then they had to take it down. And now we're only accessible on like some of the more darker websites.
I have a weirdly related video.
No,
So
no, Peter, I don't want to see the video related to Thomas the Tank Engine pornography. I really do not.
but there
I
it
want to
is.
see it.
It's not pornography unless you're into this sort of thing. It's more on the scary side of Fear Oust.
Thanks, nightmares.
Yeah, it's the I've posted. You can look it up yourself if you look up Thomas Mech. This is a Thomas spider bot with included actual will hurt you laser.
I think that's cool that Sid from Toy Story grew up and is doing YouTube videos now.
Yeah,
It's cool.
he,
It has a laser on it. Dr. Evil would be so proud.
He has like hundreds of videos. It's not all of this. There's babies with arms out of their head. There's a teapot that he's hooked up like an amplifier that he like a Fisher Price teapot that he fucked with. So now it looks like a goddamn Frankenstein. Like, look at that shit.
So this is truly Sid from Toy Story.
Is this guy?
really
Is
is.
this guy Japanese? I'm assuming.
Yes, I would think so.
No, he's American.
Oh,
Duh. Didn't you watch Toy Story, Jake?
maybe he culturally appropriated Japanese stuff.
I mean, he moved to Japan. Sure.
Sid's a weeaboo.
Sid moves to Japan to embrace the culture and appropriate the
He
technology.
went through a weeb phase, and it just he never really left
This is
it.
some shit from like Big Hero 6 mixed with Sid. Yeah. I don't like it. We won't win a second second World War II. Also known as a World War III with Japan.
World War II
Well.
Part 2. No, it's the half-life 3
World-
strategy. World War II Episode 2.
Part 2. It's like a young adult trilogy last movie. They got split it into 2 parts.
We may have forgotten,
No.
but the Japanese haven't.
Because we all know World War III is going to be fought with time travel, apparently. And this is my professional fucking mile-long shot segue into our first segment, as we do every week, Trae Watch, in which we talk about trailers coming out for movies. And we try to make this happen. We haven't had trailers in the last couple weeks, but now we do. And the new one, the big one that everyone's talking about is it's the new Doctor Who trailer, right? David Tennant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doctor Who. David Tennant is actually
David Hanna. It's gonna tattoo you.
David Hanna of Hanna-Barbera.
David Tennant is actually the real Doctor Who. They've been goofing us out all the time, all these years with
If
different
Doctor
people.
Who existed, I'm sure like that would be a very much Doctor Who thing to play Doctor Who on the Doctor Who TV show. Go back in time.
What a Doctor Who thing to do.
And like see how much they got. And don't give them ideas. They're just gonna fucking take that as an episode.
Oh yeah.
Original idea,
Well,
please don't steal.
Apparently the show's in like the dumpster right now, so you can have that one. That's a freebie. But Tenet from I was going to say David Cronenberg, but that's not right.
From the mind of Christopher Nolan, which is, like Cronenberg meets fucking mushrooms. We have Tenet, a movie, I think, about time-traveling law enforcement agent trying to stop a criminal conspiracy.
Maybe
He saw he saw Time Splitters on peyote and was like, I have an idea, guys. So I think this trailer. Let's talk about the trailer before we talk about the premise. The trailer almost doesn't care about its whole time travel thing because it takes like a minute and a half to get to that. You see all this crazy shit happening, but they don't talk about it. I'm like, no, tell me about the part where the bullets go in reverse and like the waves like they slurp back into the boat. Tell me about that. Don't talk to me because the first half of this, it just talks about like Russians and like World War III and like thriller stuff, which really in the context of weird supernatural powers gets really boring. It's like it's not intriguing me. It's an anti-hook.
Well, I'm sure the idea about not explaining the powers is to like get you to see the movie to find out what's up with the powers. I agree that the choice of basically having a Mission Impossible movie with the supernatural time travel element thrown in, a little jarring. Also, this trailer's 3 fucking minutes long. And I don't know. I mean, I'll give it credit. It didn't give too much away. But at the same time, I have no idea what the fuck's happening.
I don't even know if giving it away is possible in a movie. Who knows if we...
Which I guess is good for a trailer.
I guess, but
you don't want them to...
It's good for a trailer, but like, is it going to be to the point where we go see the movie... or somebody goes see the movie and they're like, I really don't know what happened throughout it.
Well, yeah,
that'll be
Inception was like that,
Yeah.
and it's the same sort of deal. Like, Chris Nolan's whole gimmick is like play with the audience's perception of time and space.
like we just had a pandemic. I don't really feel like going to a movie and watching the movie equivalent of Sudoku.
Well,
Like, halfway through the movie, how did you get 1 to 9 in that line?
You have like the actors' names in each corner of the square.
I did not see the 7 in this box.
I have 4 8s. What the hell?
And that's in one line. I don't understand how that happened.
Now, do the boxes have to have all 1 through 9? Because that is damn near impossible. This is witchcraft. I just have Sudoku.
This was a mistake. We should have dropped a few more bombs.
My goddamn Nintendo DS. Give me more numbers to start with. Because I used to have the Sudoku game for the DS.
Oh,
I was a weird child.
My mom got me an SAT prep game for my DS and then took away every other DS game I had. Make me play
That's a
SAT
mom
prep
move.
game. I mean, yes, I was 16, but I don't know where she put them. I looked every now and then, but not that hard. I just stopped playing my DS for a while. That's kind of how I got around that. But it worked. Hey, I got like a 20/40 on my SAT. So like,
We'll fucking do it. That's for sure. So like, yeah, it's all sizzle. This trailer is a lot of sizzle. Cars driving
not a lot of
backwards
steak.
or in reverse time. The bullet, he goes in the bullet. It's like the same things as before, but more of it basically. He's like shooting the bullets in reverse. And it's like, you didn't shoot the bullet. You caught it.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
Oh my god, he catches the bullets instead of shooting them? What? He just shot that rock. Why is it in his hand? Oh my god,
Masterpiece. I don't know.
Now, I will say, this is a great setup for like some really cool action set piece. Like, I like the idea of time reversey shit because that's a lot of cool set pieces. Like, there's a part where they kind of reverse rappel onto a building, and I would really like a scene where they fight as they fall down a building, and then they reverse time and they continue fighting as they fall back up, and it's just sort of back and forth. That would be a cool scene. That'd be a cool scene, guys.
I think that was like in what? Like I feel like that's going to happen at some point in this movie or something similar because I you described that to me and I like saw it perfectly in my head, which means that it's probably something that
It's also like the car crash scene that they're doing. I mean, a lot of this stuff is setting up for some really cool shots. I don't denounce that, but is that enough to make a good, compelling movie? It's just really cool, mindfucky shots. I don't know.
Yeah.
It depends on the story.
Depends.
I think
Really depends if they can get the spy thriller stuff right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've never been disappointed in a Christopher Nolan movie. Granted, I never saw Dunkirk, but
I mean,
I heard that was good.
it's pretty fucking good.
Won a few awards.
Yeah. And yeah, Dark Knight series was fantastic. So
I like Inception.
I haven't seen Interstellar.
Oh, that's right.
that was Christopher Nolan too?
Yeah.
Yep.
That was
if
pretty.
it has the big fucking blah.
The foghorn. Yeah.
That was pretty
This is
good.
fucking Christopher.
I heard it like when you compare it to other space movies, it was a little bit more on the accurate side, or at least it dipped into a lot of space
Yes,
tropes
they brought
that
on a lot of. They brought on a lot of like consultants
yeah,
to get the science in that right.
that's good. I think that's important.
And it's because it's book. I think the book was also like hard sci-fi too. And for those of you who didn't take a literature course in science fiction, hard sci-fi is like sci-fi that strictly conforms to real science and doesn't like invent technologies and stuff. Or if they do invent technologies, they're heavily rooted in actual physics.
Right. As opposed to space fantasy, space opera.
Softer sci-fi.
Softcore sci-fi.
SAWFT.
Softcore
And you can't
sci-fi.
teach that.
Teach
Yeah,
that.
softcore.
You also can't teach Mel Gibson how
Acting.
to stay out of fucking Lionsgate movies that really like show how far you fall in since your peak.
I just want to.
I did not see this trailer. I don't know what you're talking about, but I heard Mel Gibson and Lionsgate, and just nothing good can come out of
I
this.
just want to touch upon its tagline for the movie. When it rains, it pours. In a movie about a hurricane.
What is this movie's name?
It's kind of about a hurricane. This movie is called Force of Nature. So I'll explain to you.
Is he a
plot.
secret hurricane agent?
He's not, but he's playing a Mel Gibson character.
Yeah.
That much is certain. So his daughter is trying to get him to evacuate his building in Puerto Rico, but he won't. There's a Category 5 hurricane coming for her, so she's got some cops there with her, and they're trying to get him out. And the cops are like, "Well, I can't make him leave if he doesn't want to." And she's like, "Help me get him out." And then these Puerto Rican drug lords show up, and it turns into a movie about repelling a home invasion because there's $55 million worth of treasure in a safe in the basement of the building.
Yeah.
Didn't they do this movie before? Except it was
It was a heist movie called Hurricane Heist, where they used the hurricane as cover to rob a bank, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes, and there is trucks flying in the hurricane with money in it. Yes, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
It has good company, I guess is what I'm saying.
Hurricane
Yes.
Movies with the hurricane as the looming like the serial killer that's just looming in the background, just slowly walking towards you. Maybe that is a compelling plot device.
I'm just shocked that someone sat down to watch Hurricane Heist on their Netflix or whatever and was like, I have the greatest idea. Get me Mel Gibson on the phone.
You know, this needs an anti-Semite.
But he was Jesus in Passion of the Christ.
Yeah, well,
He played the world's most famous Jew.
the Jews also
Does he know
killed
that?
Jesus.
Actually, the Romans killed Jesus.
It's true.
Oh yeah. Well,
It's true.
same thing. Whatever. I'm no historical or religious buff. You're right.
Well, if there was a Jesus, the Romans would have killed him. There's still no evidence that Jesus actually
What are you talking
existed,
about?
But had he existed during the time that he supposedly did, the Romans would have been responsible for his execution.
This is your evidence. Look at it. Look at it.
Please,
It's
please
actually
tell me
Jake's
your-
Rolodex that he's like waving in our face.
Yeah, it's
he
his
knows
little
Jesus.
black book. He's got a gardener named Jesus in there that he thinks is just Jesus.
Look at it. These pages are only possible through the power of Christ. Look at how thin they are. Look at how thin they are.
Yes, fucking Bible pages. They slice them thinner than like a gourmet chef slices like their onions. They're like, we want it pip.
They
I'm
also
pretty
make
sure
them.
that's how they make them. They just put like the leaf of paper on the fucking meat slicer.
It's just rolling papers. They make really good rolling
No.
papers.
You don't want well, they're
John
real thin,
420.
actually.
Yep. Have you read the Word?
That shit? No, I haven't read it word of that.
Speaking of,
But my mommy
Old
wanted
Testament.
me to have it.
Oh, do we want to talk about more about Force of Nature?
No, I have
movies.
said everything I need to say about Force of
I mean,
Nature.
hold on.
Well-
It looks okay. I don't know. That's Kurt covered everything. There's an anti-Semite. He fights drug lords, and there's a hurricane coming in, and he's being like, "I ain't moving anywhere."
What is it with old action movies and being dads who fight drug forces? This was fucking Rambo. This was Schwarzenegger in Last Stand or whatever.
Because, Peter, that they've aged to a point where they can no longer conceivably play the like in their prime action hero. So all the characters they play, you don't bring in new actors for your action movies. No, that makes too much sense. You just write older characters for your old action heroes to play.
But they have to fight drug lords. That's the important thing. Is always drug lords.
Easy target.
Yes.
The federal government, the DEA, will give you a couple $1 million for your movie if you make it about killing drug lords.
Yeah, right.
That's actually probably not an entirely wrong answer.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
But speaking about old people killing things, the Old Guard.
Tell me about the old guard, because I did not watch this trailer.
So some people get a mutation where they fucking live forever. They get the C-24.
Yeah, I was about to say, are you describing Doom right now?
So they
Did
just
the other half turn into monsters?
Sadly, no. They're just old and they're good at fighting, and the government wants them. So they're all super mercenaries, and there's a new kid on the squad, and it's there, and that's the movie. It's action scenes where they fight each other, and everyone's so fucking snarky. Aren't they so smug? God damn it. I hate Please go down. I want to put you in concrete so you be immortal forever in a fucking stone. Get out of my face. The movie.
Okay, Nahiri.
That's how you kill an immortal.
We can't solve
it's
all
easier
our
than ever.
problems by shoving people into stones.
Back to the Hedron for you.
Lithomancy is not an allowed practice.
I'll I'll throw it to you just so you can see. It's Netflix schlock. It's utterly.
Speaking of Netflix schlock, well, I guess maybe not schlock, but I don't know, high probability for schlock, I feel. The Five Bloods, DA5,
Da
the
Five
numeral
Bloods, yeah.
Bloods, The Five Bloods, is a Spike Lee movie coming to Netflix on June 12th about African American soldiers who buried treasure in Vietnam and are coming back to get it.
It's what's that word? It's like not a détente. What's the fuck? It's that thing where all the soldiers put in a little put their money in a
Tontine?
box. Tontine, yeah. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a little. It looked like just like fucking gold bars, though.
That's a bank account.
So
What?
That's just a bank account.
Tontine.
they touch on. It looks like this movie is going to have like themes of like PTSD and stuff. Like the horrors of war, like, you know, that's a film approach that I think requires a certain level of subtlety that I don't know that Spike Lee has.
It's also got Black Panther in it, so go see it.
Yeah, Chadwick Boseman's in it, looking really skinny.
The interesting part, I've seen several shots of this that are shot like they were shot in Vietnam. Like, it seems like part of this show or movie is going to take place in present day when they, I think, go back to try and get their treasure. And then, you know, a big part of it's going to be when they're actually fighting the war. And I think all that is going to have a different shot effect to it, to where it's going to look like it's from the 70s and stuff.
I mean, it looks like they just like slapped the fucking black dynamite filter on it.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
But my question is there going to be a scene where they grab all the gold bars in a helicopter and have to make it over the mountains?
Over the mountains, but they have to drop some weight.
But they have to
It's too
cut the
heavy.
way.
That's still the fucking stupidest decision in a heist movie I've ever seen. I'm glad they all died
that
for
a
it.
heist movie? Like,
I don't know what to call
Yeah, that's
it.
all the money. I consider that it's
Bad.
a weird heist movie. It's like
I call it bad.
it's stealing from bad guys is the main premise.
Fucking yeah, kind of. I guess I don't know what the main premise was. It was for Oscar Isaacs and Ben Affleck to make money.
What if my midlife crisis was fighting a fucking cartel? Again, that's where it is. Middle-aged to older white men going down to fight cartels. That's apparently what you do. This is your calling in life.
It's the hot new trend in Hollywood. Oh man, we're like halfway there, boys. We got to start training so we can fight these cartels.
I gotta learn about my avocados so I can fight the avocado cartels. I hate that that's a thing, by the way. Just in general, that's so fucking stupid. Thanks, 2020.
Well, it's like modern day pirates.
It's like when the turnip
why?
boom happened in the fucking 1800s, where fucking turnips became like worth $1,000 a pop.
Turnip.
And there's just no, maybe it was tulips.
Tulip.
It was tulips.
Tulip.
Yeah,
really?
look up a tulip bubble. Tulip economic bubble.
I know there's the turnip bubble in Animal Crossing. There's a turnip
believe
the
it's a
turnip
bobble.
stock market.
Yeah, it's called Tulip Mania. Yeah, that's what it was.
This sounds
it was
like
just
a
a-
documentary my mom would watch. I feel like on Netflix. She'd be like, I watched this nice little documentary called Tulip Mania.
See, in the 1600s, they didn't have Supreme. They just had flowers, so they did that instead.
Just threw a
In
tulip
the
on it.
I don't know. This isn't a historical note. It still happens probably not this year. But in Albany, New York, they have the Tulip Festival every year.
I have heard.
When they make ritual sacrifices to the god of tulips.
No, they just have a lot of people bring out tulips. Well,
Is it
I mean, it
Tulipa?
used to be tulips, a lot of tulips. Now it's like mostly food trucks.
Tulips have taken the backstage part of it. Now it's just like
pick your
food
own
trucks.
You get a basket, pick your own food truck. You pluck them right out of the ground.
Pretty much. Like you can still like buy tulips and look at the tulips and shit, but
I gotta stop
a
over
lot
at
of focus has become food trucks.
gotta stop over at Tony's Taco Truck.
I wish we would just drop all the pretense and just have just monthly street festivals.
Yeah. Well, not now, but I mean, yeah,
Nothing wrong with a celebration of the food truck.
yeah.
Yeah.
A food
call
truck
it
festival. Just
Yeah.
Yeah. The food truck parade. Fuck it. I don't know. Mobile banquet.
free hand sanitizer stations.
Free hand jobs. What?
What? Yikes.
What? Hand sanitizer jobs?
Big-
Don't. That's bad. That'll hurt.
That's not skin that you
Owie.
want to dry out.
Large owie.
The Outpost is a movie starring Scott Eastwood, who I can only hope is Clint Eastwood's son, and Orlando Bloom. So he's, doing real well for himself after Lord of the Rings and Pirates of the Caribbean and all that. It's about a small team of U.S. soldiers battling against Taliban fighters in Afghanistan that overwhelm their base. I think it's a little too soon to be making movies about the war in Afghanistan, seeing as how, it is still very much an ongoing war.
It's really not over. Remember the simpler times.
Is it like trying to do it from a post-war perspective? Because I know there's a lot of movies that are out about like soldiers in the war, as in like this is a war that's going on and these are the soldiers in it, sort of deal. Like like Jarhead maybe.
Oh, like
I guess
Or the
more of a
American Sniper.
celebration of it instead of like
that's even worse.
not a celebration, but like something to make you like respect
Commentary.
respect.
Well, I thought
the
Jarhead.
troops.
I never saw Jarhead, but I thought it was an indictment of like U.S. military culture in that war.
I
don't
never
know.
saw Jarhead either.
Well, it didn't get to me.
Yeah, I was fucking. I don't know. It's. I feel like whenever there's a movie that has a high incident likelihood to trigger PTSD in people who are, actively are fighting the war that the movie's about. I don't know. It just feels like a little too soon to be making movies about.
If you have
such a
PTSD,
recent war.
don't go see this movie because you're gonna get triggered and
Probably.
we're gonna be on the news. So just fucking stay home and play with your Barbies or something.
Yeah, fucking in your room, you snowflake.
Yeah, fucking.
Oh, I have PTSD because my friends got blown up in the war.
I saw my friend step on an IED and get blown into 16 different pieces. Get over it.
I have a wheelchair because my insurance doesn't cover prosthetic legs.
Get a better job, maybe, dude. Fucking. Please.
Just because I hate that I have to do this, but that was obvious sarcasm.
Satire alert.
Jake, where's your fucking soundboard? Come on, we all greenlit your soundboard. You should have a button for this.
No, that got rejected. I submitted my proposal
I've rejected the soundboard.
because I'd be like, "Brr, brr, brr."
We have enough problems not talking over each other without adding in fucking sound effects to the equation.
but like Kirk or Peter could say something like really like just like sad or something, or I don't know, some weird shit, and I just totally serious tone and like makes a really good point. I'm like, all right, wow, good point. And I go, wah wah.
What was that comedian
Just
where
throw it off.
If we ever had a soundboard for this reason, you would not be allowed anywhere near it.
Welcome to Saturn Sons and the baby. Wah.
I fucking morning DJs. I kind of want to do a morning DJ show just to be that, just to lean into the obnoxiousness. It's got to be a lot of fun in the booth. Like I can't believe it wouldn't be.
There was like a very brief moment in time where Peter and I considered taking the Saturn Studs podcast to AU radio. But I was like,
we swear way
No.
too much.
Yeah, that
We're
was one of the things. That language we would never. It'd have to be an after dark show, which it would have been probably anyway, just because of schedules. But at the end of the day, I was like, I don't. Why? I feel like less people would hear the show than if we.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
AU After Dark. You could
They
be those-
did. They
you
did
could be
have like,
renegades.
the radio station. I think had shows like if it was after like if it was like a 10 p.m. time slot or later, you could swear or something like that. I don't remember exactly. This was not a long hemming and hawing session. This was something I thought of and dismissed almost as immediately.
Isn't it weird how like we put a time? I understand for most of the things it's like, okay, well, and so kids don't see this on like public access TV. So after a certain time when the kids all go to bed, then we can start swearing. But for a college campus, like how many children are out there?
Well,
Not many,
The thing
but
about
like
radio,
the
Jake,
town
is
of
it
Alfred.
travels over long distances.
Oh, this wasn't
And-
okay, so this was actually like a FM radio station.
Radio is you can actually tune into it from us. You can pick up
literally-
the airwaves.
Literally never even touched the Alfred radio station. So it could, to me, it could be go to the website and tune in, and it's not even an FM radio frequency. I don't know. So it wasn't.
actually yes, it was actually a radio station
Okay.
that
And
broadcast.
you could turn in to listen to like blank-eyed sophomores speaking really badly and just leaving dead air everywhere.
Okay,
It was really bad. It was unlistenable radio, quite frankly. It was-
that makes a little bit more sense because there are an abundance of like impressionable 9 to 12-year-olds that do tune into radio to get swear words.
I don't know if it's still a thing because like not a high volume of participation. Like
Well, maybe if they
you
let
could
us
see-
swear at 9 a.m.
or you could see in the fucking like because it was at the campus center, you could see like the booth, and it was frequently empty.
Yeah, it was. There was really never everybody there.
Well, speaking of public announcements and service and stuff, I got one other trailer here, and it's Irresistible.
Simply irresistible. Yeah, this is the Steve Carell movie with Rose Byrne, directed by Jon Stewart. We covered the trailer, but this is a featurette, I think,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, it's got Jon Stewart talking about it.
He talks like he has a couple lines about just behind the scenes of it. I mean, if you've heard Jon Stewart's opinion on stuff, this is just entirely consistent with that, where he's about real Americans sort of talking with each other and not listening to the media and the sort of circus that has to go on that divides us. It's a nice,
Oh yeah, because
It's Jon Stewart.
isn't
If
Steve?
you
So
are-
Steve Carell's running for some office, right? Is that what it was?
He's the campaign manager of
campaign.
someone running for. I think he's for the Democratic candidate in a town that is like historically Republican, and they have a shot at winning it. But then, like Rose Byrne her character is like super
His
campaign
rival.
manager and his rival, and the Republicans hire her to manage their candidate's campaign, and then hijinks ensue a la The Campaign,
Okay.
starring Steve Carell or not Steve Carell, Will Ferrell and Zac Efron.
And I can certainly hear Jon Stewart's writing voice coming through in it, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like this is like the first comedy he's done as a director. Like his previous movie was like very serious about like refugees in the Middle East.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. What one was that? I wanna. How many movies has he like done?
I think that was his. I think this is his second,
Okay.
like feature length. He may have done like some other short films. But yeah, so this, I'm excited to see a comedy. Like I understand his hesitance to like not jump straight into doing a comedy, but I miss his particular brand of humor. So I'm happy that it's coming back in some form or fashion.
Yeah. What would really suck if they were to take his voice and then replace it with that of somebody from South Africa who's out of touch with society and their norms. That'd really suck if they ever did that. Well, I'm kidding. No, Trevor Noah's fine.
He's all right. He doesn't have that fucking magnetism.
He doesn't
comedy yes.
have charisma.
What?
And not like the same
has a charm.
brand of charisma.
Yeah, I mean he's I think he's younger and he touches upon a bit of a younger audience, but I think he also needed to find his way early on. I don't like his earlier Daily Show stuff, but I think they found a little bit more of their thing. The only thing I just don't really like anymore is the impressions, but that's kind of from everybody, like across the board, seasoned and unseasoned, except who?
My who I believe is the true son of Jon Stewart, the true heir to the throne, is Hassan Minhaj with the Patriot Act.
I have to watch
I
Patriot
like
Act.
It's super millennial. It's like super youth. The youth, like if you think of like a RoboCop or like future movie where they're like
to really relate to a lot of stuff in the Patriot.
If you think of like a future movie where they try and be like, here's the media guys of the future, that's what he feels like, because he's on like a stage and there's just graphics flying around him everywhere as he's making like Fortnite jokes at the kids.
Yeah.
But it's also like he actually talks about like real issues and he does good research, and it's all lots of production value and lots of entertainment, and he has a good comedic voice, which I think really pops.
Yeah. Like I said, a lot of the topics he touches on, I just don't relate to. Like, he did a whole episode on Supreme, and I still don't understand why it matters. But,
I'll have to watch that because I don't understand Supreme and why they have a brick.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good. It's he does a lot. He does a lot.
Yeah,
of
he
shit.
has some like interesting perspectives because he is, of Arab descent. So like he did a video on Saudi Arabia and their new.
I thought he was Indian.
I thought he was American.
Pretty sure he's of Arab American. Hassan.
Let's do the check.
Hassan is definitely an Arab name.
Yeah, seems more Arab. If it was like Vindin Punjari, then it'd be like Indian. It's too long, and then you just call him Kevin.
Yeah.
Just call me Kevin.
Comes from a Muslim. Oh, he is from India, but
yeah, it's one of those cross culture dealios.
yeah.
It's like there's nuance outside of European nationality. What's up with that?
Arab Indian? Yeah.
I
bet he's really good at cricket.
Good job, Jake. You did it.
But I
That's
guess
the one
more to
stereotype
the
I know.
point, that's on me. I guess I conflated his being a Muslim with.
How fucking dare you?
But typically the divide between India and Pakistan is a religious one.
Look, you were just guessing. It's fine.
You didn't know, and now we know. And knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe, I'm a computer.
I wouldn't get offended if somebody was
computer.
like, "Are you from Kentucky?" No, I don't sound like Kentucky, but no.
How dare you?
How dare you say
I'm
from
from Kentucky? Like, if I was traveling abroad and it's like, "Are you Canadian?" I'd be like, "Oh yeah, sure."
I'm sad that there is no like suburban mom who has named their kid Kentucker.
Tucker. Are you, how certain are you of this?
How do you? It could have happened.
Well, first let's look up Ken Tucker.
Rosewater
then we'll look up-
was Jon Stewart's
yeah.
movie.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, there is a Ken Tucker, and he's a reviewer of rock, country, hip hop, and pop music for Fresh Air.
There's a Ken Tucker.
Sounds
who's-
like a guy from Kentucky.
There's a Ken Tucker who is the owner of Chainscape and lives in St. Charles, Missouri. And he's
That's
100.
almost Kentucky.
He has the banner hashtag Stay Home on his Facebook profile,
No, he can't be from Kentucky.
Kill yourself.
I saw this. There's a Kentucker Oddly. This is amazing.
Oddly enough, there's a Kentucker Oddly, yeah.
Google this, and here's the Google blurb for him. He is a filmmaker, actor, programmer, and movies hat salesman. His latest film debuted at South by Southwest and was named one of the 10 best movies of 2017 by The New Yorker.
Oh, Mr. Fancy Pants Peter once again reading The New Yorker.
What is a movie's hat salesman?
I think that would just be like selling promotional hats for movies, wouldn't it?
I don't know.
Maybe he owns the factory that does the embroidering on them. That's my best guess.
Perhaps.
Follow up, since we are running very long on Trae Watch this week. We've got 3 movies in theaters this week. One of them made a staggering sum of $55. This is your domestic box office report for May 15th, 17th. The Wretched in first with $91,000 in its third week, plus 32.1% increase in gross, despite only opening in 2 more theaters. These are all IFC films. The Wretched, not really because I find it particularly interesting, but because the Burt Orange Heresy only had 6 IMDb user reviews, and How to Build a Girl is what we covered last week. The Wretched, by default, is our spotlight film of the week.
Mm-hmm. As you know, our review of it is it is a silly 5-drop with a bad ability in black.
Yeah.
Not super worth the time.
Not strictly playable.
But good for a laugh.
Yeah, so here is Stephania Sill's review of The Wretched. 10 out of 10. Titled 10 out of 10. 6 May 2020. You might think ... space WTD all caps ... What is wrong with her ? Well, no ... The only reason I give 10 out of 10 is because I believe horror / suspense / thriller movies should be merited a bit more. They deserve a bit more of acknowledgement. If you are thinking ... space, well, they do not have character development ... then I say : excuse me.
This woman cannot be younger than 40. I refuse to believe it. Are there parenthetical statements in this review? Because that's we have 2 of the 3 boomer trifecta, which is excessive ellipses, all cap statements, and then we need parenthetical statements to complete the fucking crown.
There aren't, unfortunately, but 2 exclamation points after the excuse me. I just imagine Steve Martin doing the fucking big excuse me that he would do in his stand-up. Look at the character development of the evil ... or the person that things. Quote, oh well ... everyone is okay, close quote ... anyhow ... just saying, this movie should have more than what it has ... new line, maybe just my opinion.
Please post this to the thing so I can see what this looks like.
Thanks.
2 out of 6 found it helpful.
Amazing.
I will link you guys.
Well,
post haste.
I don't have anything that's like this. I'll just forewarn you, because the middling reviews of this seem to be the most cogent. Like, there are some pretty well thought out things. So my reviews that I've picked might actually tell you about how good this movie is.
But before we hear about that, we have to hear about why this is the worst movie ever made.
Yeah, Pete, not budging.
Fair enough.
Because it's a 1 out of 10, obviously, and Adam Brooks, 21, knows it. The Wretched. What a fitting title.
Ooh, roast them.
Oh, got him. I don't usually write reviews and think most are stupid or too over analytical, like the person is a critic. Anyway, I'm going to be a critic today. Anyway, this film was horrific. It was 95 minutes of nothing.
What was it, Jake?
It was horrific.
Horror.
Horrific.
Or Terror from the Deepific.
It was, maybe it's a horrific movie. It was 95 minutes of nothing. There was no plot. Scenes did not last over a minute and did not set the next scene up. Misspelled scene. Yes. So you had no clue of how things happen or where new people came from. The acting was stale. There was no build-up because there was nothing to build up to. I have seen, spelled correctly, I've seen many wretched horror films. There's only one of this, though. Wretched horror films in my lifetime, and this ranks high up there with them.
Because it's titled The Wretched. Yeah, that makes sense.
You've seen the Wretched movie. The Pierce brothers should quit before they get further behind. So in conclusion, watched it or don't watch it. Fuck your grandma. I don't care. You can agree with my review or not. I don't care about that either. It's just my opinion. What's up with these people and their opinions?
This person is very defensive. They're just out there. Like, I don't even care. No one fucking flame me in the comments, all right? This is my review.
16 out of 39
It's my
found this
opinion,
helpful.
okay?
My opinion.
Jesus.
My rack opinion.
Yeah, I mean, all opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got them and they all stink.
Yeah.
Like this one from Brighton Triple X. The Wretched, 5 out of 10. Unique storyline, but otherwise mediocre. Well. I am not certain what to think of this film, to be honest. Overall, yes, it is a horror film and a unique story, but I have a thing against what they call a teenage horror film. Somehow these films don't do it for me. Overall, the acting was mediocre as well. The makeup person of the, quote, monster, quote, you are the reason I don't hate this film. Hats off to you. Would I watch it again? No. Would I make my friends watch it? No. 4 out of 5 found this helpful.
Peter, I give you all the credit in the world because you have a certain way of reading these reviews that's more entertaining than the review.
Maybe I should go to radio. No.
The Wretched, 8 out of 10 by Sack Daily Simon. A good story, just how they used to make them. 8 out of 10. Although this wasn't set in the 80s, this film had the same vibe and writing style of horrors made in the late 80s. I'm in my late 40s and was brought up on 80s horror. This reminded me of films like Fright Night, The Lost Boys, and so on. Not that they were similar, although there are similarities to Fright Night. It is just the vibe and writing style. It has a good story, premise, and acting, and does not go down the typical stereotyping tropes of modern-day horrors. It just keeps calling horrors, not horror movies. Yes, modern-day horrors like the coronavirus fall into such stereotypical tropes. Or the overuse of CGI and had good practical effects. One thing I did like was the lack of trying to please all audiences with its characters and had a mix or blend of ethnicity that didn't seem forced. The films did have some flaws and a shift from creepy, scary horror to a more PG Spielberg hijinks kid-teen romp towards the end of Act 3. Overall, I enjoyed this film and would like to see more of this style of writing and feel like the old days. 3 out of 6 found that helpful.
Well, Sarah Shat Sky Sarah. Sarah Shat Sky Sarah.
Yeah,
said
I got
this-
it. She shat her.
Yeah. Makes sense.
She shells
She
by the
took out her
seashore.
gun and she shot her. Yeah.
Sarah Sky Sarah said this is a 1 out of 10, and it's simply just lame. Lame. One of these days I want to find one that would like work as a poem and read it in like poem form.
Yeah, just with the beatnik. Just
Yeah. Titled Lame. Bad movie. This movie is cursed by bland wooden mediocrity. Actors are dressed and behave like stolen Old Navy mannequins. Movie doesn't know what it wants to
Oddly
be,
specific.
but it forgets about 10 times like my great grandpa telling a story on Thanksgiving. That's funny. Feels like a simulation of a horror movie. Soundtrack sounds like completely royalty-free album called Orchestral Fear and Fright Shiver Tingle number 100. The actors should return to their original jobs, which was presumably doing adverts for J.C. Penney's or Camping Gear magazines. Watch something worse or something better, but don't waste your time on this gelatinous sour slop.
Busting
Man,
out gelatinous.
biting wit out here. Who was that by?
Sarah Shat Sky Sarah.
Sarah Shat Sky Sarah. She
3 out
shat-
of
Fucking
3 out of 8 found that helpful. I am inclined to
That's-
feel like that's more people should find this helpful because
more.
it's a fucking
that
whip
should,
cracks response.
that should
there.
be an 8 out of 8 at least.
I
If not a
think-
16 out of 8.
I found it helpful.
Yeah.
More people should
And
find
now
this helpful than people.
Damn it, that's our only review.
Damn. You need to send her a DM. Be like, you need to
The
review my movies,
IMDb
girl.
DM.
She looks like the person who would just review one
That's how I
movie.
find all my girlfriends. It falls to me to give this I guess this is going to be the most seriousest of the reviews, even though I think I like that one the best. From Begob. Begob?
Bagoda.
6 out of 10. Wretched? Question mark. A teen movies in with it. It is in with. I think it's supposed to be in which. But a teen moves in. Oh, okay. Took me a second because I thought it was a teen movie in which
yeah.
blah blah blah. Okay, a teen moves in with his dad to take a summer job, but begins to suspect there's something wrong. There's something up with the neighbors. As other reviewers have noted, this is well made and produced. Cinematography makes good use of light. The makeup by Eric Porn and effects are stylish. And the experience up to about 40 minutes is unsettling, with some well-timed jump scares and a creeping fear that made the hair on my arms stand up. Music is elaborate, with plenty of minor keys ever present. Just, they throw them in there.
Yeah.
The performances are pretty good too, although the bully boy scenes don't help the story.
Hit me, Billy.
Overall, though, the bully boy.
The bully boy.
Don't say it. Overall, though, the experience was middling. There's a phase switch when the plot self-consciously moves to Rear Window. That's why he's wearing a cast, with a Body Snatchers vibe. And from there on, the fear subsides as I realize everything's going to be all right. The problem, I think, is the story. A basic quest to slay a monster and rescue the damsel in distress. I think there's a couple of shooting stars in a nod to Spielberg, and he would feel right at home in this world, where a disturbance in the surface of suburban life must be put right, even as the uncomprehending adults frustrate the instincts of the insightful hero. There's a strange attempt to enter reverse domino mode, where a montage reveals a deception in the storytelling, so we're forced to reevaluate everything as we've understood so far. But it's so rushed and feels like they're trying to wrench more significance from the story when it isn't there, especially with such simple characters. So this has lots of resources, but can't get over the fact that the premise doesn't have the depth of myth to keep our nightmares alive. In the end, the pointless title sums this up in a way the creators didn't intend. Still watchable. 4 out of 5 found this helpful.
Well, I feel like I understand the movie now. Mm-hmm. How to Build a Girl up 142.8% this week, opening in 3 more theaters for a total of 32,052, and then nearly $32,000 less Burnt Orange Heresy opened in one theater, or I'm sorry, was shown in one theater in its 11th week, and made $55, which, if we figure the average ticket price in America is $11, means 5 people went and saw it. So
A squad of buddies.
at least we can assume that they were keeping good social distance if there were only 5 people.
I feel like that's the thing where you just rent out a theater. You're like, can we just go watch a showing? Can we like rent out the theater? Which I think I need to look at how much it costs to do that in the Albany area. I would want to do that with like a bunch of people.
It has 6 reviews.
Yeah, there was just enough, but there weren't enough of like they're all like 4-star reviews.
One of them says it's a cinematic feast.
If
Yum. Yum.
if we don't get more next week, then by default we'll have to.
Burnt orange hair. And take a look at that.
Before, is that it for movie stuff? Is that it for the wrap up?
That is it for the follow up.
Okay, then I do want to add an addendum before we go on to video games. I'll keep it quick because we're going along here for sure. Quickly, I finished all of She-Ra just because it's there.
And
My review of She-Ra, everybody, it's nothing special. That's the gist of it. It's fandom junk food. So if you understand, like, you know, modern pop, like, you know, CW fans, Super Who-Lockians, all that jazz, the modern pop culture fan, quote unquote, this is like packaged neatly. It's like a fucking Big Mac for them. It's all, you know, passive progressivism, lots of ships. You know, there's every character has interactions with every other character, so you can write your own headcanon and ship them. That's all good. And then at the end of the series, they nominate, like, there's like I almost feel like there's an award ceremony where, like, here are the official ships of the show. These are the people who are actually in a relationship. The award goes to, thus crushing people's dreams, but only at the end. So they have many years to write out all their fan fiction. Every episode, characters pretend to have arcs, but don't actually, so that the drama can just be stretched on forever. The solution to everything is the power of friendship, and lots of pretty colors. So if you're just looking for something, if you're a fan, if you're a capital F fan, and you just want something that you can just get into and binge for 5 seasons and be like, wow, that was so exciting, really cool.
You pretty much,
I guess, watch it, but
you pretty much just like fucking viciously called out my girlfriend, and you had no idea, and I'm fucking cackling internally here. You kept going. I'm like, oh, she's gonna be so mad
because I
when
know
she
them so
listens
well. This is what I've gotten from Steven Universe, but like this is less quality version of that.
No, like it's I've relayed the same exact, like, very similar criticisms of it to her, but she's gonna be so mad and devastated to hear it coming out of your mouth. She's gonna be like, I thought he was one of us because you watched Steven Universe.
Well, now she knows that she will really enjoy She-Ra.
Well, she's already watching She-Ra.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go, kids.
And I'm giving her a lot of shit for watching She-Ra.
As you should. I'm finally forcing Kristen to watch Avatar: The Last Airbender. I really want to get her into anime, but it is a struggle. And Avatar is like baby's first it's like baby's first animation.
What kind of like aesthetics is she into? What kind of like genres does she like?
Actually, she's really liking Avatar so far because she likes the kalimba. The kalimba's used in it like almost every episode, and it's like one of her favorite instruments. The kalimba's the little tooting, the ting,
the African thumb piano. Yep,
tinging and stuff like that because it's like a music therapy kind of thing, and she loves that shit. She eats that up.
Okay. So she's about that OST, those music and art aesthetics.
Yeah.
Tell her to go watch Made in Abyss.
Made in Abyss. Okay.
Yeah. And then report back to me after the season's over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's one of its big features. It has a really nice OST, but it has a lot of big spoilers. So
Oh
probably don't
yeah,
go looking too-
that one. I think Dave and Katie watched that. They said it was really interesting. It was only the story was a little weird because the
yes, I don't like it. Personally, I don't like it.
The ages of the kids were a little off-putting to what they were doing.
They're like 9, 10. They're like 10, 11-year-olds, and the shit they go into is not for kids.
Yeah.
The whole plot is they're orphans, and then they dive down into a fucking hellscape to try and find their parents because there's no hope for their own lives. They're like, we're gonna go down into what is essentially like the fucking rift or whatever.
Yeah.
Real no man's land.
Yeah.
So go, but the music's good, so
Okay,
we'll watch
cool, yeah.
that.
So it's a light week for
video-
gaming news, so I trimmed it down. I do have a review though that I need to try to squeeze in here.
Cool.
So basically, the two big stories we have here is that this week was Pac-Man's 40th birthday. So happy 40th to one of the, pioneer and pillar foundational games in the success of video games in general.
One of the greats.
There's a reason that it's still culturally relevant today. Why you have Pac-Man and Smash Brothers Ultimate. And secondly, kind of excitingly, EA is releasing the source code for Command and Conquer Tiberian Dawn and Red Alert. So those games are going open source, which could be very interesting in terms of like fan-made remastered versions or porting them onto different consoles and homebrew. There's a lot of cool stuff that could potentially come out of the source code being released for those games. And I'll conclude here with my review. I'm working through my gaming backlog. And on the PC side of that, I'm stuck behind the large wall of Witcher 3. So in another month or so, I should be done with that. I'll be able to pick up more Steam on that side. But on the PS3 side, I'm working through, or the console side, I should say, I'm working through my backlog at a good clip. And I just finished Uncharted Drake's Fortune. That's the first one, released in 2007 by Naughty Dog, exclusively for the PS3. I have never encountered the first entry in a beloved series that was worse than Uncharted. My God, I hate this game. No one should ever play it. It is one of the worst games. I contemplated quitting about 6 fucking times during my playthrough, but 4 of those times came close enough to the end where I was like, I'm just going to fucking do it. I had to turn the difficulty down to easy because combat consists of the worst gunplay in any game I have ever played.
I've heard about that.
And just swarms and swarms of enemies in combat scenarios that are just ridiculous because the cover system doesn't fucking work the way that it should. And enemies will continually try to flank you, and they just throw gobs of them, and they're bullet sponges, and that would be okay if ammo weren't such a fucking scarcity. And by design, a scarcity, because they cap the amount of ammo you can carry, which I guess is realistic. But then you have Nathan Drake making jumps that, he doesn't need to fucking hunt for treasure. He could win American Ninja Warrior 8 times over if he can do this shit. I would say that, it's a great story marred by dated and bad gameplay, but, that was only true up until you get to chapter 16 where they introduce fucking zombies, like Doom-esque zombies, because the treasure is cursed. And that's the big twist. Oh, the treasure is cursed, and there's zombies on this island. Yet an interesting enough story with Sir Francis Drake's treasure and of like the Spaniards, and then the fucking Nazis showed up without having to throw in goddamn zombies and supernatural elements that just come way out of left field. So like the story isn't even that great. So Uncharted, Drake's Fortune, do not play. Watch video summary of the story if you want. You miss literally nothing by the gameplay. It is not challenging or engaging in a fun way, and should just be avoided. I've started Uncharted 2. So far, it is much better. So we'll have that review next week, probably.
10 out of 10 would play again.
Nice.
AMD is rumored to be releasing their 4000 APU unit, and it's I didn't know what an APU was. I'm dumb, I guess, but I guess this is going to compete a lot with Intel, and it's going to be designed for maybe some cheaper laptops and make AMD's price point a little bit better all around the board. You know, if they don't have to put a GPU in there.
Well, APUs have been a thing for a long time. Every Ryzen generation has had an APU.
And I mean, Intel's i5 and i7, all that stuff, all that jazz has had them before as well. But you know,
they're not marketed as APUs, but they do have integrated graphics. Basically, AMD's APUs have a few Vega cores slapped onto the CPU die, so you don't need a discrete graphics card.
Yeah.
They're typically like okay for like, I mean, obviously as a display adapter, it works perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And you can even do some light gaming on it. Like the 3400G was decent. Like it could run games, modern games, esports titles at like 1080p low, fine, and like older games ran well on that as well. But yeah, so they're getting up for releasing the 4000 Series 1. So they're always like a generation behind. So this would be like a Zen 2 part with the APU on it versus but since it's a 7 nanometer part, that means there's more space on the die for GPU cores.
A bigger GPU, yeah.
So they could potentially be fairly beefy.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting what this what type of products these go into and how good they'll. We for PC users we're normally buying like a separate GPU, so we really don't require.
But if you're on a budget and you just want to like get in and play some like Apex Legends or some shit like that, you know, you can use an APU as a stopgap. And then buy a discrete GPU later.
Yeah, which I think is nice. I think it's definitely going to be a good entry point. It's going to be...
Yeah, they're typically pretty cheap. I think you can currently get the 3200G, which is a quad-core 3.6 gigahertz part, which isn't... And, like, you can overclock that, obviously, too, and it turbos up to, like, 3.8, I think. That's, like, a pretty decent CPU, and that's, like, $85 right now. So if you just need any CPU...
I think it's good news for AMD because I mean their company is doing great. The stock has been just jumping through the roof. And coming out with a product right now like this, where you know globally financially people are on a more restrictive budget. Yeah, this is a great product to come out with. It's saying hey, you just because you're in a pandemic doesn't mean you need to stop gaming. So
I mean, I think they really knocked that out the park. I mean, they're still not like on store shelves yet, but they technically are released. The 3100 and 3300X. You have a $100 CPU that performs like a $350 CPU from 3 years ago in a lot of workloads. That's pretty impressive.
It's interesting now because we're in an age where, especially with this pandemic, where having a computer that can run, basic things that are not an infuriating slow speed is going to be more important now than ever. Because I don't know how many jobs will require you to use your own PC. A lot of times they are company provided, but you never know if a company's like, hey, you need to have your own PC so you can zoom in or Skype in on something. Zoom.
We made the rollover to Teams, and our IT guy like fucking sent out a screed of a letter, email saying, well, people are still using Skype. Switch to Teams.
Yeah, Skype is garbage.
Oh, Skype for Business is the worst fucking app I've ever used.
I use Skype.
That's my. It's such a post. I saw one. It was like they have 14 years to get this right. This is their time to shine.
Yeah. But I mean, they're abandoning it now in favor of Teams. Like I think they're discontinuing. I think, or they have, because the version of Skype for Business we have on all our machines is Skype for Business 2015. So I don't know if that's the last update they had.
Does Microsoft own Skype?
Yes.
So could it be like so it could be a Microsoft thing. The switches over.
Yeah.
All right. Well, our IT guys will have to let us know when that happens.
Alrighty. So
yeah, I don't know. Let's get right into fucking Doom.
Let's talk about Doom. Oh boy, I know too much about this movie right now. But to call it a movie, that feels bold. I feel.
Yeah,
it was an experience. I think it was a journey that we went on all together.
We watched the unrated version, which is about 13 minutes longer than the theatrical release.
Just all fucks.
And there's no reason. Yes, they say fuck a lot. I heard a lot of scenes were cut because of the violence being too gratuitous, and maybe I've just been desensitized, but I didn't see anything particularly offensive.
Yeah, maybe the blood. Yeah, I don't know. Come to think of it, was this rated? Well, was this rated R or was this PG-13?
It was R.
What? Add more blood. But then again, 2005 was a different age.
It was a different age. So, movie stars, I guess Karl Urban as John Grimm in the lead role, and then The Rock plays a character called Sarge, which is basically ripped off of I think Major Kelly from Doom 3. The character is very similar.
Okay,
could be.
Was Duke supposed to be Duke Nukem, just black?
That would be interesting, but I preferred it was Duke from fucking G.I. Joe.
I think they just,
The Rock was also in that, right?
They just gave them, like 10 years later.
So their movie has one storyline, but watching it and watching the actions of the characters, I have a completely different headcanon on how what the plot of this movie was.
So,
and we'll talk about it as we go.
Couple trivia notes I'll just get out of the way here. The Rock was originally offered to play the role of John Grimm, which is Karl Urban's character. But he chose to play Sarge instead because he found the character more interesting.
Okay.
So Rock chose to be the evil guy.
I mean, it fits better. I like him better as Sarge than John Grimm.
Before they came to The Rock, do you want to take a guess at who they asked? And keep in mind, this ties in with a theory that we have about these two individuals and perhaps a feud they might be having.
What's his name?
Jake knows. I don't remember. Oh, I don't remember our own lore.
Pacifier?
All I think of is Kevin Hart.
Vin Diesel.
Yeah. I was whoever the fucking pacifier
Vin
Diesel.
They came to Vin Diesel first, but Vin Diesel had the wisdom to turn it down. It's like, oh my God, what was that movie with the cop and his mom that like Schwarzenegger leaked to Stallone that he was interested in starring in, so he would trick Stallone to star in this terrible movie?
Fuck, I don't remember.
I'm just going to Google Stallone cop mom while you guys talk.
Stallone cop mom. So yeah, I think it's just a lot of this comes to me, a lot of the shittiness comes to me in two things. There's the camera movement, the lack of any relation to Doom, barely.
Yeah.
Like, there's a couple references.
You got a
And then-
BFG,
and then the plot.
you got a Hell Knight, you have no mention strictly of Hell, but Mars.
Mars.
So yeah, the movie is Stop or My
yeah.
Mom Will Shoot, starring Sylvester Stallone and Estelle Getty of Golden Girls fame. So the story goes,
Hold up like a fucking LMG.
the story goes that Arnold Schwarzenegger leaked to Stallone's camp that he was interested in starring in this movie because they were having a feud in the 80s, and Stallone jumped in to like undercut him, and so Arnold played a very elaborate prank on him because he had no desire to star in what he knew would be a terrible movie.
What a fucking juke. Oh my god, good job.
Even his face in this picture is like, what am I doing?
Yeah, oh my god.
We might need to watch this
What am I
movie.
need to?
I mean, eventually, obviously, this is going to be...
Here's a quote from Stallone. I made some truly awful movies. Stop or My Mom Will Shoot was the worst. If you ever want someone to confess to murder, just make him or her sit through that film. They will confess to anything in 15 minutes.
And
Oh,
I'll post this on our public Discord server, the link to which is always in the
that's funny. as shit.
description. And then I will post it this show. This is the Hollywood.com's report on the story of how Arnold duped Stallone into starring in such an awful movie. This movie we watched here, Doom, also an awful movie that has like one sequence that is universally praised, but even
The ending one?
that, by modern
Yes.
standards, looks a little lame. And I have to come out and issue an apology to Hardcore Henry, because they pulled off the first person perspective better than they did in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, this one seemed like it was all computer generated.
It does feel like a bad Carnival Funhouse.
Yeah, it was
ride.
just
felt
so
really
slow and awkward. Like, it wasn't the pace of Doom. Like, I think if you like put the movie on fast forward, you know, it'd look better.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was pretty slow. Apparently, that sequence took 14 days to shoot.
Jesus Christ. And like I can see now, like just setting up the one scene where he flips over like the demon or monster or whatever the fuck it is. Because it looks so clunky
Yeah.
of just him like stabbing the thing and then all of a sudden he does a magic backflip or jump or hop over the demon and then he's like on the other side of him shooting him.
Yeah.
I'm
That
just like,
scene would have
that
been.
was-
I need to see a fan edit of that scene where, like, when he wipes the blood off of his face because he's got the 24th chromosome, and that makes him a Superman, not a, you know, developmentally disabled person.
That's a different fucking movie, dude. I got the 24th chromosome. I could shoot demons.
If Rip and Tear,
Jake did it first.
If Rip and Tear from the 2006 soundtrack played over that, that'd be better than the music they got there.
I'm
enough.
so fucking dead. That's hilarious.
Wait, did you not think of that when you heard
No!
24th chromosome?
Because I was like, fuck it, dude. This is a Doom movie. Suspension of disbelief. All right, fuck it. 24 chromosome. What? Bonus one? Bonus chromosome.
Bony crony.
Yeah, that's why whenever we used to, like, I'm not proud of this, but we used to back in the day, when we saw someone who was like when someone was like behaving really stupidly, we were actually kind of progressive in this way. We wouldn't say you're acting retarded. We would say to each other, looks like someone shoehorned an extra chromosome in there.
They're just a homie with an extra chromie. That's so.
I'm down with the syndrome.
Yeah, apparently so are the makers of Doom. Shit, man, this deserved every score of that 34 meta score.
So, I guess that means
Let's
that they're
just talk
not
about that
demons.
plot.
They're, I guess,
Yeah.
just you know,
Special
developmentally
individuals.
disabled people. Which
Well,
makes
when you
this-
think about it that way, this movie's
that-
awful.
That means that Vin Diesel was perfect choice to play Sarge. I understand why they wanted him.
If you ever want to,
want to get the BFG. We gotta go to
That's a big fucking gun.
family. I lost members of my family.
Quick, shoot the retards.
Okay, so
But I want to talk about
yeah,
this there plot.
UAC puts out a distress beacon to the Rapid Response Tactics Squad or whatever the fuck they are.
They really should have been Rapid Action Tactical Squad, or RATS for short. That would have been better than RRTS, which is a stupid fucking acronym.
Yeah. So UAC obviously is the company in Doom, but RRTS, I don't recall any significance to Doom in that. So you have a bunch of... So everyone in this movie, we'll throw this out there. Everyone in this movie, with one exception, like, acts like a fucking mannequin. Like, there's
dude, everybody
nothing
sucks.
remarkable about the performances of anyone except for the sleazy dude. And it's not that his performance is good. It's just that it's something. Like, it's the most memorable.
Give him a lot of time and a lot of dialogue for
Who's
it.
this sleazy dude? Because a lot of them are kind of sleazy. Is it Portman?
Portman, yeah.
The drug guy? Yeah.
He gives the kid greenies and fucking, like, offers the strip search on these people.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
We'll talk about all this stuff.
When your introduction to some of these characters is this fucking coked out weirdo walking up to random women and telling them, I have to strip search you, and then be like, oh wait, hold on, here's a hotter chick, I have to strip search you. Ugh. It's like it immediately took me out of the movie, and like I just said, okay, this guy's a fucking character.
You know what took me out of the movie? Like the supposedly future setting where the fucking one dude is playing a video game that's twice as thick
Galaxia.
as a Game Boy Advance, and like
He's a
It's like a fucking Game and
Six
Watch
he's
out
a
here.
retro
generations behind.
enthusiast.
but
he's
no,
a
it's like
retro
a new game because
So-
he's like, oh, this game's sick.
Because this is
need
in the
to
year
talk about-
2046, I think, is also the timeline of this.
That's
God.
when
Man, this game's so hard, man. It's juking me. This is the intro. So one of the early scenes in this movie after they introduce the monsters, or like there's monsters on the facility. The first scene is the introduction of the RTS, and this is where the seed of my headcanon started. It took me a little bit to fully develop it, but this is where it started because it starts with Sarge walking into the room. There is men playing baseball with oranges. There's Galaxian Man playing his fucking Game & Watch and like it's a fucking thriller mile-a-minute shooter. There's Kid, and then there's creepy
Portman.
guy.
What about
Portman.
Goat?
And he,
there's Goat.
huh? Oh, Goat.
Goat.
Yes, and he's like he's putting
Who's
on
this-
his things and Jesus guy.
Yeah.
And then we have Reaper in the corner, John Grimm. And it was really the kid who got me started on this because he calls him in. The kid's sort of hesitant, and that's the first thing where it's like, I was fine, just like I bought into the fucking characters, whatever. The acting's shitty, but I was like, all right, I'll roll with it. Now the kid's scared, which didn't sit right with me because this is a group that's supposed to be like the first responders, a crack team. This is something you ostensibly, if you're in because you wanted to get in.
Yeah.
That's how they portray it. But the kid's fucking scared of going on his first mission. Like I would be, I don't know. It just doesn't seem right with me. And then I started thinking about the rest of this crew, and they're all really shitty people. Like,
Yeah.
Sarge obviously has anger problems. Reaper, he's like, I've done some bad things. At the end of the movie, he's like, I've done some bad things. You have, Portman. You have Goat, who's like kind of psychotic or
I
whatever.
think the thing is that
So I'm
he's
thinking,
supposed to be like a sadist because he's goat, and that's like Satanism symbol of the goat.
I don't.
Well, he's self-harming, that's for sure, because
Yeah.
of the whole religion thing. He cuts himself whenever he uses the Lord's name in vain, and he's like, "I said his name in vain. I need to cut my arm with the cross."
Yeah. So as they're on this, they go on the mission, and they're going on the mission, and we will talk about the myriad problems that they have with executing their operation, because it's a fucking clown squad out here. It's a clown
I don't
commandos.
know how Sarge ever reached any sort of commanding rank.
And that's the fucking key. This isn't a crack response team. This is a goon suicide troop that the government would want to send in as an excuse so that they can cover up the entire thing. Now,
that is so
right? They've
much
all
better.
been demoted to this because of their problems, war crimes, mentally ill, unfit for combat. Sarge is in charge of this shit. They send them over there. They fail the mission. And the government says, we're nuking it, quote, from orbit or whatever. We're arc fragging it. Then they cover up the whole thing and they can continue with their shitty ass research.
Yeah, we did get the.
That's like the movie makes so much more sense in that light.
Yes. If don't. So, like, don't let the writers of Doom hear that, because then they're like, oh, yeah, of course, that's what we envisioned all along. Yeah.
Totally, yeah. They just sent in these goons. That's why no
patsies.
backup was ever offered. That's why when the transmission for backup came out, there was no backup sent.
Yeah.
They just wanted these guys to go in a suicide mission. Yeah, that's so much better, because throughout the movie, I'm like, I just saw incompetence after incompetence. Even their weapons were like not that great. You saw
They just chose one guy has the destroyer has a minigun which he has to cock.
yeah, and then like the one guy's flashlight breaks, the one guy's gun jams when he's trying to kill a monster. The other guy, he runs out of ammo in his gun. He's like, oh fuck, I gotta get another gun out. So like they have equipment issues all the time too. And it's like, fucking, like who supplied you with these high quality, year 2046 guns? Get a Glock.
These Nerf long shots that they disguised as fucking movie props.
So
Like Sarge even has to go get his own gun to get a better
the
one.
BFG, which is like shown on the display as the Bioforce gun, but at least they have the decency to just have the line, "Oh, that's a big fucking gun."
It looks more like the chain plasma gun, if I have to say
Yeah,
so.
it doesn't look quite. It's been a while since I played Doom 3. Maybe it looks
Not
like
as
the
big as a
BFG
BFG.
9000, but they built two of those and they actually like vibrated. And
Okay.
The Rock kept both.
Fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had that too, I totally would have been like, no, here's my BFG from when I was in Doom.
In Doom. So
Yeah.
So basically, they're sent to Mars
Through the
through the
Stargate.
Stargate to investigate this like disappearance or attack. I think it's disappearance on the UAC base on Mars, and they discover some weird shit happening, and there's one Hell Knight in the movie that I saw, and then everyone else is just a mutated. So there's one demon and like a bunch of other zombies. Everyone starts to mutate for no reason. Like there's no reason given. They never mention this is a demon from hell. They never mention any of that. It's just like, oh, yeah, there's some zombies.
Hell was taken completely out of it. Anything was just like, oh, they're calling these like hell spawns because they're mutations of out of nature. I mean, it's anything, but it's not like hell. There's no portal to hell. There's no any relation to hell at all. And it's just there's just so much wrong with this movie.
So they arrive at the facility and there's still a large amount of people just milling about.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like the order to evacuate would have been sent out before the troops came. Like, here's a squad of people coming in. Please get out of the facility. Unless, I guess, we keep in mind that they didn't intend for anyone to actually get out. So there's no news of it. I don't know. Could have been that doesn't fit too badly into the headcanon.
Yeah.
Anyways, they come in. They meet the doctor, who is Karl Urban's sister, and this is the part where I realize Karl Urban has been typecast as a bitter man in a sci-fi setting who's lost someone who he's loved or has someone close to him.
Yeah.
Think about it. There's the Almost Human, this movie, Star Trek, Dread, I guess, The
My
Boys.
takeaway from this was just that Karl Urban will star in any movie based on a comic book or like sci-fi property without hesitation. Like, doesn't matter how bad
And
it is.
I bless him for that every day. I thank him for
'cause
that.
I
Like,
think-
he makes this shit better.
he does. Karl Urban was definitely the best part of the movie.
I didn't think that his acting performance was anything better than any of these other lesser name. I know Karl Urban can act, like I've seen it, but it wasn't here.
But honestly, I don't know. It was weird because he was supposed to be the main character, but he didn't really act like the main character for most of it. It seemed like
He wasn't
Sarge
the biggest
was
star. He wasn't. It's because he's not the biggest star in the movie. You're like, oh, they got The Rock. Obviously, that's the main character. I bet you that, like, in it follows, it tracks because of like the repetitive and basic nature of a lot of Sarge's dialogue. Tells me that originally in the original version of the script, when they gave it to The Rock, and they're like, okay, who you want to be? He's like, I want to be Sarge. So they beefed up the dialogue for that part.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it just felt like really fucking tacked on and stuff that other characters would have said. Because I'm pretty sure, like, in the original version of the script, his dialogue was basically just, on me, move out, you go this way, you go that way.
Yeah, yeah. Or I could also see like a part being split into two.
Well, that's what I
Like-
mean. Like, they took some stuff
Yeah.
away from John to give the Sarge to beef up that part.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like to me. Because I'm like, this
Yeah, I
really
could see that
seems
too.
like more like something that John should be doing right now.
Because like also it could have been like, oh, maybe the Sarge was supposed to be the Doom guy, because usually leaders in that role tend to be the hero of the story, the main character.
But that's the genius twist, man. No one ever saw it coming.
I
Except
actually kind of like the makeup at the end because he becomes the evil
Yeah, he
Marine
like mutates into the
type of enemy.
yeah.
And he looks a lot like the little sprite model in Doom. He looks enough like it where it's like, oh, okay, I get that.
Yeah,
I get what's
I didn't
going on
mind
there.
that at the end.
no, I thought it worked. And
Other
it
than-
reminded me, like, oh yeah, like I could see him, like, hopefully he's grown a lot as an actor, but I could see him like being, Black Adam now more than I could before I watched this movie.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing is that we normally see Rock as a hero, as a
I think
protagonist,
this
and
is
like
the only
everything that
time
we
I've
see.
ever seen him as a villain, really.
Yeah, he isn't a villain too often, and this time was very evil.
Right, although right toward the end, he goes into rock promo mode.
And they have a wrestling match which featured like a fucking super mega Canadian destroyer where he just like flipped over him like handlebars on a bicycle and flung him into lockers.
Yeah.
Yep. Gave him the old F5.
There's a lot of
There's a
wrestling
lot of
moves.
that.
in that fight.
So I wanted to say one quick thing is Wheelchair Man, who loses his legs, and they give us a cutaway of him losing his legs, which is a setup for something that doesn't entirely pay off. They don't pay it off in the right way, because they show a cut off of his legs, which I thought was stupid. Like, he just told us this isn't fucking Family Guy. Anyways, he's in a wheelchair, and he's the man on the comms, which are not used very well at all
No, they're not.
by this squad as they go into the tunnels because so there's a guard
They always
station
seem
by Pinky.
Yeah,
That's
they always
his name.
seem confused as to what's going on, which is the purpose of comms. Like they always like meet up back in the one lab, and they're like, "What the hell's going on in here?" And it's like, well, isn't that what the radio is for? To like get everyone up to speed before we meet back?
But no one calms the lab, and the lab doesn't calm anyone. So they start there. So they give Pinky a guard, whatever, and they go. And they get kill cams, which I guess was supposed to be... I think that's what they were trying to do with the first person. They're like, maybe if we do it through the view of the kill cams, that'll let us get away with the first person view. They abandon that when the actual the set piece comes. So whatever. They go to the lab through the nano wall, which I realized was actually a reference to invisible walls in Doom. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. How you can sometimes go through secret walls.
All right,
yeah,
that makes more sense. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it was so dumb. It was like clearly a setup for something to happen to a monster later or something.
It was
somebody to
where he's like, I don't do nano walls, and like, okay, we'll see why he doesn't do nano walls.
At a nano wall.
some.
Probably him. I will commend them that the black guys did not die first.
No,
That's true.
One of them died second.
Mac, that was
But it's not first. It's,
yeah. So they're walking around. They're figuring this out. It's. I mean, a lot of this movie is them walking around tunnels, slowly figuring out what's going on.
and getting ambushed
terrible.
by random.
yeah.
And the camera is way too close to people's faces. Like, there's a lot of close-up shots where I'm just like, back the
They
fuck up,
do-
please.
Yeah,
it's
and they
really
do
annoying.
That fucking like really amateur dialogue filming a lot of the time, where it's like cut to a close up on person talking, they finish talking, cut to close up of other person talking with like no medium shot to cut to.
Doesn't go back out.
It's like just that and that.
And
that, yeah.
they have there are a lot of scenes I saw, especially like when they were getting on the ark, where the camera is in a perpetual rotate. It's like just a pan or what have you. So it feels like you're just spinning. And I'm like, I don't like this. I feel like a rotisserie
Yeah,
chicken
they
out
almost
here.
break the 180.
Oh God, please, can you stop with the camera? No, thank you,
Yeah,
please.
they almost break the 180 degree rule a couple times. And I was like, oh, God, why?
Yikes.
They wanted to show the film crew.
Dr. Carmack is the so they meet the doctor and he's like
Van
insane.
Gogh.
Fun fact about Carmack, he's like
Yes, Jake.
so that was actually an Easter egg. John Carmack was like the original writer of Doom.
Right.
Writer or story writer for Doom or
One
Doom
of the
2.
Johns.
Yeah, he was
Yep.
one of the OG. So
Yeah, the
That's
other
kinda
girl, when The Rock uses like the hand to get into the lab, that girl's name's a reference to someone from id Software too.
oh, cool. All right, awesome. Well, yeah, I think that's neat. They also use like yellow key cards, and that using the hand to get into some of the things that I liked about the movie, like the key card we saw in the beginning, the using the hand to access a doorway. And now that you explained the nano walls, I like that a little bit more. There were some references to Doom and some nods and
Well,
say,
yeah,
hey,
and
this is a Doom
aesthetically, like very heavily drawn from Doom 3, at least.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Especially the shitty jump scares.
So
I hate. It's like getting sack tapped by the fucking audio visuals. You're just like, it doesn't. It's no emotion. It's just like, ow, fuck. You yelled in my ear.
that was my biggest
Christ.
pet peeve, I think, of the movie was every single like Marine, almost every single Marine died from like just getting ambushed by one of the alien or mutants.
And then some
monster
of them
things.
just
They even reused the same "I was grabbed from below by the
Yeah.
monster hand." They used that
yeah,
twice.
and that one was like the worst, especially like towards the end where it's just like that was just a way to kill him. Like there's no like
I mean,
nothing.
they set it up. They set it up for Portman to be like really taking his like time and clearing the room, making sure he wasn't being tracked, and he's trying to defend himself. And it sets it up for nothing. Nothing that he did benefited his survival because he just gets jumped from above.
Yeah, he gets like
Which I saw the whole time. I was like, "Oh, he's gonna get hit from above." Well, actually, I thought he was gonna die because he fucking slipped in his. He's in the shitter trying to make a distress call, like a smart guy, like an actual good move, and then he drops his clip, and he crawls through
Slides
this.
over.
Well, let's start talking about the blunders of this fucking squad. He starts crawling through with his gun. Now, I'm not a military man, but my idea would be switch to the sidearm so that if you get caught, you're not lugging around a 60-pound gun that has no bullets in it. You have a pistol, which you can at least put a couple rounds down range.
Yeah. And walk out of the stall and around,
doesn't.
maybe. I don't know.
Thank God he didn't get ambushed in the most vulnerable position a man could be in.
Yeah, and they just
The
like
dang or beehole.
like the way he died was like really. They just like did the fucking like Jason X, where the fucking monster
He
just
slammed around the stalls.
slamming around the stall, and then
And I also think Sarge sort of almost killed him too,
Yeah.
a little bit with the BFG.
the BFG does fuck all in this movie. It like
it kills,
kind
like,
of
one
kills
thing.
the monster, but it looked like at least half of it got away, and then he misses. He fires it twice in the entire movie, and it does nothing of consequence either time.
Yeah, it doesn't really do a whole lot.
And he like really sets it up too, like when they have the final showdown of like the 24th chromosome battle.
I got one round.
And he's like, I got
yeah,
one round.
it's a 24 chromosome showdown.
And then he immediately
Blows it
fires it
immediately.
and misses because
A shot and a miss. I reloaded and a miss.
So
So yeah, let's start with the blunders. Kid, friendly fires at fucking random shit, and everyone of course reprimands him for it. Like, don't unleash your weapon on a fucking pipe. He's like, sorry man, I got the jitters because it's my first mission. I really should be gung ho about this, but fuck me, I'm just awful
That's my
as a
first
rookie. So
didn't Destroyer unload
then
on
he
a
goes, he gets
fucking didn't Destroyer unload on a monkey that was in a ventilation
Yes.
shaft, and then Sarge was
did.
like, "Oh, that's blood."
monkey. They said it twice. It's like it's a monkey, some sort of monkey creature. I was like, this is a dumb line of dialogue.
So
This is
apparently
bad
they wanted to
dialogue.
bring in Simon Pegg to help beef up the dialogue for this movie, but he turned it down.
He would have helped.
He will have, I think.
Yeah, but he probably recognized that it
Little
wasn't
monkey
worth the fucking effort. This movie bombed. It cost $70 million to make, made 58.8 at the box office.
I feel like any of us could have written a better dialogue line than "I'm not supposed to die" or some kind of monkey.
Monkey
We kill
creature.
them all.
Yeah.
Nothing lives dark.
Other blunders. Getting high.
Getting
on a
high on a
mission.
mission. Yeah.
Well,
And apparently it's the kind of drugs that make you wired and not like beta blockers, which is what that kid
so
needed.
That's
Some
actually
fucking calm
there's
your
actually
hamstrings.
some like real life connection to that. They do give like fighter pilots, or they used to. They don't anymore because of WikiLeaks. But they used to give like fighter pilots like speed essentially to keep them sharp.
Fair enough. I mean, I believe that. I just think that kid was stupid for the drugs one were stupid because apparently they make you like high and not, like you said, like speed or beta blockers or performance enhancing type of deals.
Well, they were supposed to be speed.
And then-
They were greenies. Like, like
Oh, I don't know. I guess I don't know what speed
well,
is.
I mean, like aesthetically,
what it-
that was
what it
the
looks like.
idea. But they did have like are you high right now? But like when he was, that they did pupils dilating.
I really wish they said winners don't use
They
drugs.
did pupils dilated, but they, like, to be fair, he wasn't like space case high. He was just like motor mouth high, which I could see someone on speed, like having diarrhea of the mouth.
Yeah, which also was bad in Karl. Again, Grimm, like he was the only competent member on this team except for like Sarge, where he's just like, don't talk in the fucking sewers when there's a guy who we need to hunt, who can hear us.
I'll put holes in you, and then he gets very upset when The Rock does the same thing later in the movie.
That he threatened to do it, but he wasn't actually going to do it. He's just going to threaten murder, as guy things. I'll kill you.
No one straps down any of the infected.
Oh.
The restraints don't exist, and a lot of people get injured or die because of this fact.
How many of you were expecting the fucking demon to like bite down and bite her off her arm when she was reaching around inside of it?
So much. And that's something it would do. And like, I'm kind of disappointed that it didn't happen, and we can't make fun of it because like there's just some shit that I could see us complaining later, like it was alive this whole time,
Yeah.
and she's just letting it root around inside its cavity.
Although, no, they use that for vague sexual innuendo.
Yeah.
She's just
All right, so
grabbing
slowly
search
and
around. That
surely,
light fell down.
yeah, like the guy with the LMG encounters the Hell Knight and tries to electrocute it, but doesn't quite die. And then slowly and surely, they all get picked off by demons, and they come to intelligence. They discover it's an infection, and Sarge, in his infinite wisdom, is like, "So we just kill everyone."
Yeah.
yeah.
Which
Well, I mean, at that
is-
point, I'm like, he's taking a
That's
fucking
a-
turn here.
In some cases, I could see where that's a sensible approach, but later on they like radium. Oh, they might not all be infected, but like at that point, like, do you run the risk of like how do you tell who's infected and who's not? The
Well,
bite
but, like,
on the
you-
neck
like-
is, I guess, the one thing that they looked for.
But the Karl Urban
Right, with
thing,
the little flesh
yeah,
runs. Like,
yeah.
blah, 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 blah.
But like the Karl Urban thing, it's like, well, if they're fine and they're not hostile, let's isolate them, which they probably would do. I mean, they're not trying to kill you. Isolate them, handcuff them, do whatever, so they won't.
We've already
be a threat,
established
and
restraints don't
monitor them.
exist.
Yeah, and like monitor
Now-
them, but and like it's like logic. It was like killing them was
I
easier,
saw-
so just do that.
I saw this as it was an obvious precursor to either he was infected even though we didn't see it, or he was under the influence of the evil.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah, it was
evil
foreshadowing
force
the
was that
turn,
it was
yeah.
playing up on his.
Well, they wanted to set grounds for showing that Sarge was evil, because at that point they had just said, 10% of the genome hasn't been mapped, so people think that's the soul. And now they're setting up precedents for there's a genetic marker for evil people and a genetic marker for good people. And Grimm was the good person who would become the superhuman with the 24th chromosome. And then people like Sarge who have the evil genome or whatever to make them
that turn
a
into
monster.
Yeah, so Karl Urban gets shot in some confrontation, and his
no, he shoots himself.
oh yeah, that's true. He shoots the
in
wall.
the nano wall.
He shoots the nano wall, and it bounces back
That's-
and it hits him.
Because the nano wall is bugging out and like it turns solid and then it ricochets. I'm like, that's so dumb.
So-
Okay.
Oh, we should say that at this point the infection has gotten to the Earth
Yes.
Arc Station. It's gotten out of Mars. They never go to the archaeological dig, which that was I don't know why they
It
did
would
not
have cost
film
probably
that. Was that
cost too
just
much to-
They couldn't go
another set
outside.
to film
They would have to get spacesuits and shit.
They already spent $70 million
much money.
on this movie, and they probably at that point were like, "Yeah, this isn't going to turn out well."
All their investors were like, "No, we've seen the early stuff."
I saw the final version of the script. Simon Pegg turned down the rewrite. I don't think this.
We're already prepping for our losses.
So yeah,
But
so
we get to the scene and it's
her
very cathartic.
his sister, like against his wishes, forcibly injects this 24th chromosome into him, and then he wakes up. You see him in the mirror. He wipes his like blood off here because he's all healed because he's got a 24th chromosome. And then Rip and Tear does not start to play, and we get the first-person shooter sequence, which is basically, I mean, it's more of like an on-rail shooter because he like walks to a station. It's more like Time Crisis than Doom, really, because you walk up to a point and you shoot the bad guys, and then you walk up to the next point where you shoot the bad guys. But they
Love Time
they didn't
Crisis.
get the BFG in there, obviously, because they already had used that up. They did get the chainsaw though,
But-
so
Yeah. Now, my one question was the guy in the wheelchair, was he supposed to be a cyber demon?
He turned into one, because that's definitely what that dog was.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's supposed to be Pinky. That's why they have the wheelchair on there. Oh my god, the CG on that wheelchair. Certainly,
That's-
like one of my main takeaways when I saw like there's a lot of CG in this movie, and like it's prominent very early on. And I'm watching this, I'm like, yep, this sure is from 2005.
I appreciate their economic use of it, in that the credit sequence after the end was basically the unfinished CG for the first-person shooter scene. It was a bunch of footage that they didn't use or that wasn't complete, and they're like, just leave it as empty models. We'll do it low poly, and we'll put it over the credits. It'll be
Interesting
fine.
note on the credits: all the names that get shot die in the movie.
Oh,
Nice.
this is why he was
So,
called Pinky.
Cool. I mean,
Not
the
a not a
references are
cyber
there.
demon.
Like I said, Doom 3. They took a
Doom
lot
3.
from Doom 3, so
Okay. Yeah.
it
So
doesn't make it good.
No.
They took a lot from Doom 3.
so after
The final,
after watching
we
this,
get to the final confrontation.
yeah. Oh
right?
yeah. Final
Where
confrontation.
They fight, then they melee fight Evil Sarge and Good Carl.
yeah,
And then Carl doesn't telefrag, he doesn't arc frag the Evil Sarge. He just throws him through the portal and tosses a grenade in there. I was like, fucking whatever. Okay, sure. And then it ends with them walking out, and he says a line of dialogue that's really stupid, where he's like, we're almost home, which is not how you end a movie. That's how you almost end a movie, because they're almost home. Now, if they went out and he exited the bunker and all the reinforcements were there with guns pointed, and the movie ended like that, I would be fucking stoked. But they didn't, so I'm not. Fuck it.
this movie does
sucks.
suck, which is why I'm really worried, because next week, as part of our deal here, we are going to watch the reboot of this, Doom Annihilation, and supposedly of the two, this is the good one.
Oh God. Well, that makes me so, because Doom Annihilation was recently made, right? 2019 or
Yeah,
2020.
19.
Now that has Doom 2016 under its belt, which the newest one of the newer video games that they made, and they just made Doom Eternal. I would hope that they would take a lot from that, because Doom 2016 had a ton of story and cool things to pull from. It appears as though they took nothing from it
Yeah.
because the main character is a female.
Well, I've seen the Filmento on this movie, and so I know like some broad stroke stuff. I've forgotten a lot about what was in that video, so it'll be a fresh hell for me, certainly. But yeah, from the sound of things, they didn't take much from much. Not a whole lot there.
Now, this is to say, I will say, Jake, that being female is not a difference from the games, in that the Doom Slayer is a male, because I guess he's supposed to be a guy, but he really doesn't. He identifies as murder.
He sexually identifies as rage.
I just really think that like having a real good Doom Slayer, like even if it was like straight from the games where it just follows Doom Slayer and like being activated on Mars and try to give him no lines. I don't know. Find a good actor who has good storytelling with his eyes. I don't fucking know. Vin Diesel.
No,
Yeah.
you know who would fucking do it? You know what? You do this like Dread or The Raid, where it's just a dude trying to get to the other end of the facility and just killing everyone
Rip
in
and
his
tear.
path.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like the old joke. Doom guy throws a grenade and then everyone dies, and then the grenade goes off.
If you like bad video game movies, I think this is up there. It does have a lot of that classic bad video game
It's certainly,
dialogue.
you know what, worse than the Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah, Mario Brothers had that spark of just craziness.
And Bob
and
Hoskins is a
entertainment.
good actor, and no one in this movie. Well, I mean Karl Urban, but no one in this movie gave a good acting performance. All right, so next week we'll be back with Doom Annihilation. Should be fun.
Hooray.
Check out the stream tonight. We'll be streaming around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, finishing up Ghostbusters, and then time permitting, something else. We're going to float the possibility the week after, like, our next scheduled stream would be the following Saturday from this week, and then we were scheduled to start Mass Effect 2. But since Monday's a holiday and we have the day off, and like Mass Effect, Memorial Day, they both start with an M, both 2 words, we might consider doing a special start on that stream, or a stream on that day to start it. But that's still very much to be determined. Check out SaturnStuds.com for all of our social media, possibly soon even coming to TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see on that. All of our stuff's there. Twitter @StudsSaturn, Facebook.com/SaturnStuds. Check out this show anywhere podcasts are available. If you're watching it on YouTube or something, you can pretty much subscribe to anything. And until next time, be well, stay safe, and party like it's 1995.
Peace.
Bye-bye.